Hey guys, Matt here with another HUNDEGNI video analysis. Today we'll be going over HUNDEGNI underscore 2.2. And before we get into this, I should note something that I didn't talk about in video 2.1. Once again, HUNDEGNI does seem to be releasing these videos either on or very close to holidays. This one was published November 23rd. Obviously, that's correlating to Thanksgiving. And the previous video, 2.1, was posted, I believe it was on October 30th, which of course is correlating to Halloween. So there is this holiday sort of trend going on, and we'll go into a bit more detail on what we think that might mean in a later video. But for now, we'll go ahead and we'll start off with video 2.2, and I'll go ahead and play some of it for you. Alright, so basically what you're hearing here is exactly the XI Museum main theme. Whenever you enter the location, you're going to hear just this ambient noise, which you're hearing right now. And even the flapping of that butterfly is also in the museum because anyone who was around the time of home knows that there was a butterfly in XI Museum and that it made those exact same noises. In fact, all the noises that you hear in this video are directly taken from XI Museum and some of its surrounding areas. And the butterfly, this is probably the best look we get at it because this video obviously starts out very blurry, and I think it's trying to pick off exactly where it left off in 2.1, which is absolute darkness followed by a sudden bright light in your face. And basically that's what you're seeing here, very bright light, it's very blurry, and this image of a butterfly slowly fades in, and it flies off screen as you're about to see here, to which the camera immediately looks towards it, and it is gone. And if the video continues, you do notice these black specks floating through the area, and we noticed this in other videos too, and we'll talk about them when the time comes. So basically, what we're seeing a lot of in this 2.x series that we're not seeing a lot of in the 1.x is actual movement, like an actual kind of setting. In the 1.x videos, there was movement, of course, but like a lot of it was like outdoors, realistic stuff. You had the upward shot of the tree. In HUNDEGNI 1.3, it was just out in a field. You were looking at leaves. This time around, there is like actual settings, things that were made. This obviously isn't a real area. It's something that's created in a game engine, or at least that's definitely what it would appear to be, with lights in all the corners, and everything around him is completely white. But as you're going to see, there is a different color too that also appears here, which is this. Look at it a bit longer and you do notice that there is like a tint of red. And I think you're meant to notice this. This tint of red seems to be very close to this wall, and it frightens whoever is looking around. This is supposed to be within like a first-person perspective, and so when they turn around they see this red, they immediately back up as if afraid by this sudden change of color, as you're about to see. See? They back up and then they look left to right, as if shocked that they're seeing this color of red. We'll watch that one more time. They see it, back up, look left and right. And you have the theme continuing in the background as these black specks are rising up. Once again, it's very hard to see just because you have all these blinding lights. Once again, there's the red light, and he seems to back away immediately once he sees that. So there obviously is something that is being trying to be said about this overall setting. So it immediately changes over now into this much creepier theme to the overall area. You have binary on the floor, as you're going to see, and the sound that you're hearing is actually also from XI. It's in a different area. It's kind of, I think it's from an area called the Alpha Zone, where there were multiple mazes. I have just a quick video right here that is all about the maze, and in particular there is a maze called the Ghost Maze in Alpha Zone, where you basically run around in a dark room and try to avoid these floating skull creatures that are around the area. And the music, or rather the ambient effects and the sounds that you hear in this portion of the video are directly taken from the Ghost Maze. Even that laugh. and the bell's ringing. It's all from that maze. And now you notice these particles in the sky are not black, but rather white. That could just be like a stylistic choice, because if they were black, you wouldn't be able to see them. There does seem to be a running theme with the specks, though, but we'll have to talk about that more when we reach HUNDEGNI 2.4. Once again, the red light, once the player seems to approach this wall, the red light appears as if the player itself is like emitting this red light. And I do have some theories on that, but I don't think anything's grounded enough to say anything for certain yet. But this red light that seems to be emitted whenever the player is nearby seems to mean something. And obviously there's binary on the wall here, and where I've paused right here on this frame is probably the best look we actually get of the binary in this video. I've tried to put it together from the brief frames I've found, and this is the best one I can find, and it still doesn't mean anything. We'd have to see at least a couple more letters in order to distinguish something, and even then it would just be like one letter. So unfortunately, all the binary that's flowing around the room in this scene we cannot decipher, simply because we're not seeing enough of it. It's not appearing clear enough to us. There's the red light once again, once the player is nearby. And you hear that noise at the very end, which is like a roaring sound effect that you hear whenever one of these skull creatures catches you within the ghost maze. It creates that noise. Or I believe it can also make that noise if it's just very close to you or if it's moving by. But overall, you get the idea that at the very end of the video, like, whoever we're supposed to be following here, they are panicking, they're looking around, suddenly we hear that noise, and the video cuts short as if they were caught. And now there's something new that happens in 2.3. While 2.2 kind of picks up from where 2.1 left off, 2.3 seems to be a completely different segment overall. And also, one thing I really should note, because this wasn't in the 1.x series, is the quality settings on all the 2.x go really high. The quality in this video goes up to 1080, which is HD. And you can't really notice the change too much, but it's important to have it on if there is like any small detail that's worth noting. But it's just really strange that the quality suddenly goes up in 2.x. Whereas it wasn't present whatsoever in the 1.x series. I don't know if that has any particular meaning, but it is something that I think is worth noting. So overall, that's pretty much everything we know about HUNDEGNI underscore 2.2. There aren't a lot of like hidden things in this video. It's more just about references to the original XI. You have those original sound effects, those familiar visuals with the butterfly, and even the binary, because binary was also widely present within XI Museum. So overall, that's the kind of feel that we're getting for this video. And when we move on to 2.3, that's really when we start to make some pretty big guesses as to what like things mean visually. Like we have to kind of correlate certain things to other things, and this will make much more sense once I get video 2.3 finished. But it's going to take a little bit of work because there are a lot of theories surrounding that video. Whereas this one, I think we understand it decently enough that there isn't too much else here that we are missing. Obviously, we'll talk a bit more about the particles and maybe even a bit more about that red light that we're seeing when we get to video 2.4. But for now, guys, I think that's everything, so thank you for watching, and we'll have another video out on 2.3 soon enough. Thanks again. Good night.